Welcome everyone. Uh, as we all know that these particular 15 days after the Ananta Chaturdashi and the Purnima till the next Amavasya, the 15 days in yeah, our cultures are for expressing gratitude towards our ancestors. This is called as Pitru Paksha or Shraddha Paksha. Shraddha means to express our gratitude towards our ancestor, toward the generation from which we have come from. So, in today's meditation, we will do loving kindness meditation in which we use certain phrases and we silently and rhythmically repeat those phrases to express our gratitude to, and these wishes are freely given gift. Freely given big gift means, like, if I say may I be happy or may you be happy, it's kind of given freely blessing. When a parent bless their child, they wish them well, but there is no expectation, that you will be happy by tomorrow evening or uh, Sunday afternoon, something like. No expectation or to fix any problem, but freely giving gifts, so generosity. So we will express our gratitude without anything attached to it. It's kind of a freely given gift. So I have certain phrases which we can repeat that expresses our gratitude towards our ancestors. So at the end we will do that, and before that we will do a meditation uh, to understand the nature of self, who we are. And for that, of course, we will do meditation and we will experience that. But I would like to share few few slides with you in which I have taken 2 3 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, which I feel very appropriate. Means we all know the story of Bhagavad Gita. Means Arjuna got confused in the Bhagavad Gita. What happened was, Arjun was very close to his Bhishmacharya, his grandparent, and uh, he was very close to that. And so many things happened that a condition came that they have to do war. Kaurava and Pandavas have to do war among themselves. And during that war, when he came in front of his loved ones, his grandparents, Bhishmacharya, he went into that mode of his grandson, and he started like, how can I fight with my grandparent? He got confused between his role. In our life, each one of us play different role. For example, Anjali plays someone's wife. She as a role as someone's wife. At some stage, I am someone's daughter. At some stage, I am someone's mother. So I each one of us play different role at different situation. And it's best if we do our duties which are responsibility of that role. If we get mixed up with our role, then confusion starts. Same thing happened, like it can be imagined as some actor who is doing role in two different dramas. In one drama he is a king, and in the another drama he is servant. So if he get attached to one role, and if he start to behaving with that role in the another drama, that would be a confusion, that would be a chaos, that attachment would really not help him. So he has to remember who he as an actor, and then act into different roles. So what happened here in the Bhagavad Gita was, Arjun had got confused between his roles, his role as his grandson and role as a warrior. And that after his confusion, he that dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna is Bhagavad Gita. So in the first, at very first stage, at the start of the second chapter, Sri Krishna has explained to him the nature of self, who you really are, how this life goes, how are the different stage of life goes, the death goes. So we will see just 2 or 3 shloka related to that, and from there onwards we will do guided meditation on that. What we are talking is, it will be more clear, and at the end you are definitely welcome to ask questions. So I'm sharing here slide. Uh, okay, so this is in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is a shloka number 13. It goes like Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumarai yovanai jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. And the meaning is, just as the Dehi, that is the owner of the body. Deha is body and Dehi is the owner of the body. The person who enjoys and suffers inside that body is the Dehi, and Deha is body. So just as the Dehi, the owner of the body, that is soul, passes through childhood, youth, and old age, so also does it acquire another body. A steadfast one is not confounded by this. That means going through these different stages, childhood, adolescence, then decaying, and ultimately death. These are stages of life that everyone, each one of us go through. So the one who is steadfast, who has knowledge, he knows that these are the stages of the body, and so is the death, and that's why it's not confounded by either death. So they say that death is not something to fear of, but death can be considered as our friend, unconditionally loving friend. The term in Sanskrit is surud. We can call it as a surud. Death is a surud. So this we will just see the simple meaning right now. We are not going into depth right now, but here is a picture of a chariot, and in the Kathopanishad, Kathopanishad is a Upanishad where Nachiketa has gone boons from Lord Yama, and Yama has explained all the philosophy, and understanding that philosophy, one can get rid of all the confusion that one may have after the death. So I will in very short explain what this chariot analogy is. So here we see horses, then here we see a charioteer holding the reins of the horses. Then there is a passenger, or that passenger, a person who is passenger or who is present in the chariot, and there's chariot. There is a chariot, there are horses, there are reins, there is a charioteer, and there is a passenger. So it says that for the journey, means the path to go on a journey on a path, horses, here the analogy is horses are kind of a five senses. Chariot is kind of our body. If we compare chariot as our body, the horses are bodily senses. Reins are rein is the mind that controls horses, that controls the bodily senses. Charioteer is our intellect or wisdom, and the charioteer is our Atman, or our self, what we call it. So if the chariot has to follow right path, various thing has to be done. We need to be aware. Each one part is important. Bodily organs are important. Reins are important. Charioteer is important. Atman is important. Chariot is important. It has to be taken care of, but without attachment and without pushing or having any resistance. So horses has to be taken care of properly. If there are various objects around them, if those are the sense objects. If horses starts going to the bodily senses started going towards the bodily objects, reins are there to control it. That means mind needs to control the bodily senses. Reins are possessed by a charioteer, so it is an intellect or wisdom, buddhi. So buddhi needs to control the reins, that is the mind, because all the things like shadripus, fear, anger, attachment, lust, all those shadripu that we call, that arise in mind and that subsides in mind. And that, so intellect or wisdom has to control the mind, and then Atman is there, present. He's a master of all this chariot. He will say where to go, charioteer will take care. But if he is very much alert and he is very much aware, and he always direct his charioteer towards the noble values such as love, wisdom, joy, Satchid Ananda, then he will be free from any bondage and so. So this is a general analogy of this is called as chariot analogy, and this can be explained in very detail, but in very briefly, I described you how this goes, and in understanding nature of self, I thought it will be helpful. In our thing, many people also chant Kathopanishad during Mahalaya Shraddha or Sarva Pitri Amavasya. But this is an analogy to understand what is the nature of self, what is the body. So normally the tendency is we almost always attach ourselves to the body. We think that we are our body, but body is a means for us from traveling from birth to death. But we are not body, we are different from that, and we always have wisdom available to us, all these things available to us, and if we remain aware and alert, then we can take care of all these parts such as senses, mind, uh, and we can go on a right journey. So this analogy describes that, the nature of self. And again, coming to Gita, now Sri Krishna told Arjuna, don't worry about killing your loved ones. Because he said, like, the soul, the Atman or self that is present in their body is different from their body. The self itself that is present inside them, the soul, the real nature of soul is unmanifested, is unchangeable. It's present everywhere, everything. So don't worry, that soul will never be died. So in the second chapter, Shloka 23, 24, 25, explaining the real nature of self, Sri Krishna explains, weapons don't cleave this soul. Fire doesn't burn this, water doesn't soak this, and wind doesn't ride. So even the body is killed, the soul is not killed, because none of that this can kill it. This cannot be cut or burnt or soaked or dried. This is eternal, all pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. This is the nature of soul. And this is said to be unmanifest, imponderable, unchangeable. Therefore, knowing this to be so, you should not grieve. You should not get confused here, and you should do your work. This was his answer. And another words, okay, the another way, even if he says, like, to explain the nature of soul, he said, even if you think that this is as the soul is there in the body and it's constantly being born and constantly dying, even then, so Arjuna, you should not grieve. Why? Because for death is certain for the born. Whoever is born will definitely die at some point, and rebirth certain for the dead. Therefore, you should not grieve over this cycle of birth and death as inevitable. And Arjuna was challenged to, no, this is another part. So here, the most important thing is, if we remember that our death is not something to fear of, but is kind of a journey, and we can have choice of how to handle each moment, how to be more alert and aware, and make the good choices. This is what we can take away from understanding the nature of self. And the last shloka that I would like to mention here is, this is in chapter 8. This is a sixth shloka in chapter 8. Yam yam vapi smarannabhau tyajantyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever one remembers upon giving up the body at the time of death, O son of Kunti, one attains that state, being always absorbed in such contemplation. So here, Sri Krishna has told, like human beings, none of the animal, all among all the animals that are present on the earth, all living beings, only human beings have this ability of aware of what they are thinking, of aware of what they are feeling. And because they are aware of their thing, they have choice. They have choice to say to do right things, to say if someone is going for a bhakti marga, he can chant his deity's name. He can choose right things which leads towards the noble acts of compassion, caring, happiness, joy, etc. So this is the ability that only human being have. So, and it needs to be developed throughout our life, so that at the point of death, our vritti or our emotional internal thing, we will remember the name of God, or we remember the quality of goodness like compassion and joy, and whatever that state of being, that remembrance, that emotion, those thoughts we will have at the very end point. The next, they said, our next journey starts from that point. So this is very important to remember, and I hope this has given some light on the nature of self. And as we start today's meditation, we will first do relaxing body, then Shada Chakra Dhyan. I will say Bija mantra for each 6 point, and we will repeat those 7 times. From there, we'll move on to understanding the nature of self meditation, mindfulness meditation. And from there on, I will say certain phrases, and you can repeat those phrases silently and rhythmically without any expression, just as a blessing or freely given gifts. And from there, we can end. So please sit comfortably. We are going to hold this position for next 20 or 25 minutes. So uh, you can sit in a balanced posture, means back erect but not stiff, legs either rested on the ground or crisscrossed in front, hands resting on your laps. And remember, you are in control of yourself all the time during meditation, and you are free to do whatever you need to do at the moment. So bringing your attention all the way up on your head, on the crown of your head, and feeling any sensations, warmth, coolness, tingling, vibration, anything that you feel there, feeling that sensation. And relaxing. Bringing your attention to your eye area, eye muscles, eyebrows, area in between your eyes, eyelashes, eyelids, feeling any sensations that are available there, any tension, any sensation. If there is no sensation, that is fine too. And gently noting the sensation around your eye area and allowing them to relax, allowing them to settle. Coming down to your jaw area, relaxing your jaw area, feeling the moisture in between your lips. Coming down to the neck area, feeling sensation in the neck area. And relaxing the neck area. Coming to the shoulder area, feeling sensations there. whatever there to be present. To relax your shoulder, breathing in, bringing your shoulders all the way up to your ears, breathing out and relaxing the shoulders. Feeling sensation in your both arms, upper arm, elbows, lower arm, wrist, fingers, palms. Feeling any sensation in your gentle awareness. If the sensation, some sensations would be pleasant, some would be non-pleasant, some would be neutral, allowing them as they are. And once they are ready, allowing them to settle down, to relax. Feeling sensation in the chest area. You may find your chest expanding and contracting with breath in and breath out. So here using your breath out for relaxing any sensations that are present in your chest area. If we have a little longer exhale than inhale, that helps in relaxation. Feeling sensation in your tummy area. Tummy is a place where we tend to store tension. So really scanning your tummy for any sensation that you may find. And gently present for that sensation. Allowing it to be there. And letting it settle. Softening your tummy. And scanning your back with your gentle awareness for any sensations. Upper back, middle back, lower back. Allowing sensations to be there. Gently and with courageously present for those sensations. And letting them settle. Feeling sensation in the pelvic area, hip area, thigh area. Scanning for the sensations. And allowing all the weight settle towards ground. Feeling your both knees. Scanning your knees for any sensations. Allowing them to be there. And letting them relax. Feeling sensation in your calf area, shin area, ankle area, heels and toes. Feeling the sensation of your legs touching the ground. And letting your all weight settle downwards towards earth. Again bringing attention to your tummy area letting your tummy soften, shoulder area, letting your shoulder relax, eye area, letting your eye soften, and feeling your whole body sitting, being gently aware of your whole body sitting, your whole body breathing. You may find your body breathing at your tummy area. Quieter, subtler breath movement, sensation of body breathing. Feeling your whole body sitting, feeling your whole body breathing. Breathe is something that is common to all of us. Normal, natural breathing. And as you are aware of your body sitting, body breathing, the sitting relaxed, open, needing nothing more than what is present at this moment or just this moment. So you are sitting relaxed, open, being aware of any sound that come to your ear. You might be sitting in a quiet room or a noisy room. It could be my voice, any other voice in the environment that's coming to your ear. Simply sitting, relaxing, and being open to various sounds that come to your ear. Just as like you are relaxing and listening to music. If mind wanders, that it will coming back to awareness of your body, listening to various sounds that come to your ear. And as we are sitting and being aware of various sounds that come to our ear, we can investigate this process of hearing. As sounds reach to our ear, the process of hearing is quite spontaneous, it's effortless. You are sitting relaxed and open, being aware of any sounds that reach come to your ear, internally or externally, and investigating the process of hearing, the process of knowing the sounds. And we find that it's very effortless, spontaneous. And if we further investigate, can I find the one inside me who is knowing this sound? Can we locate any fixed thing inside us? We are sitting, being open to various sounds that come to our ear, investigating the process of hearing the sound, knowing the sound, and asking the question, can I find the one who is knowing this sound, who's hearing this sound? And we find that there is no particular thing that we can call as a self inside us that is hearing, that we can locate or knowing this sound. So clearly the process of hearing is happening. We cannot locate the hearer. Process of knowing is happening without finding this knower. Moving on to the next part of meditation. So here the invitation is to remember someone who has in your recent past who has died. And if you can remember how was the condition at the very end stage of their life. If there is no someone very close that you can remember, you can bring to your mind someone from the sweep of great generations back. Remembering their life, the end stage of their life, and the last stage of time. And if we can see this process, this is a process where each living being passes through. There is a birth, there is a youth, there is adolescence, growing the body, at the end, decaying and death. This is the nature of life. This happens to all human beings. This contemplation can help to understand the strong identification of self with body can be disintegrated. Bodies are being born, they go through growing, decaying, and death. So, self is not simply body. And moving to the third part of meditation, where we are going to watch the screen of our mind, just as if we are relaxed and sitting into the theater and watching the screen. We are going to relax and going to watch any thoughts that may appear on the screen of our mind. Try to see if you can catch the thought as it is arising on the screen of your mind. You are sitting relaxed, watching the thoughts appearing on your mind, trying to see if you can catch them as they are arising on your mind. And what happens to them when you catch them as they are? Do they continue? Do they stop? Do they change? Normally, we catch thinking process after the thinking process has started and past few minutes. But if we can catch them at the beginning, we can see that the nature of thought is very effervescent. But if they are not seen as they are arising, and if we identify self with the thought, then thought has a great power on us. But if we see the nature of thought, we can find that they are very light. As we see those arising, they disappear. We are sitting, watching the thought as they are arising on the screen of our mind. So thoughts by themselves are not powerful, but they carry weight, the power, as much as we give them. And if we are aware as they arise, if we are aware of thinking process, they don't have, we have the choice of how much power we can give to them. And letting go of this thinking process, and again feeling your body sitting, your whole body sitting, your body breathing. And on this occasion of Pitru Paksha, we are going to say certain phrases to express our gratitude towards our ancestral lineage. Remembering the phrases are freely given gifts without any expectations, without any bondage. And I will say them, and the invitation for you is to repeat them with the rhythm that is pleasing to you. May my ancestor peacefully find their path towards freedom. May my ancestors peacefully find their path towards freedom. May my ancestors peacefully find their path towards freedom. May ancestors of all living beings find their path towards freedom. May ancestors of all living beings find their path towards freedom. Bringing your whole attention behind each phrase at a time and saying them as freely given gift. May ancestors of all living beings find their path towards freedom. May my ancestors be free from any unhelpful bondages. May my ancestors be free from any unhelpful bondage. May ancestors of all living beings be free from any unhelpful bondage. May ancestors of all living beings be free from any unhelpful bondage. May I be thankful to my ancestral lineage for my wholesome qualities. May I be thankful to my ancestral lineage for my wholesome qualities. May all living beings be thankful, respectful to their ancestral lineage for their wholesome qualities. May all living beings be thankful to their ancestral lineage for their wholesome qualities. May I let go of any known, unknown, unwholesome quality. May I let go of any known, unknown, unwholesome quality. May all living beings let go of their unwholesome qualities. May all living beings let go of their unwholesome qualities. May I live with ease. May I live with ease. May all living beings live with ease. May all living beings live with ease. May I be free. And letting go of the loving kindness practice, coming back to your body sitting, allowing to feel whatever you are feeling right now. Bringing some gentle movement into your body, and once ready, opening your. Thank you.